So, question 3 of applications of trigonometry project says Lighthouse B is located 150 miles directly north of Lighthouse A. Each lighthouse receives a distress signal from a ship out in ocean or out in sea. If the signal indicates a ship has a bearing of south 480 degrees west from Lighthouse B and a bearing of north 35 degrees west from Lighthouse A, how far is the ship from each lighthouse? Okay, so let's try to draw this down first. So, one more time. We have Lighthouse B, which is directly north of Lighthouse A, right? Directly north of Lighthouse A. And they're separated by 150 miles. Separated by that. Now, this says that Lighthouse B is south. The ship bearing to Lighthouse B is south of it by 45 degrees. So 45 degrees west. So this is west. And it's south of it by 45 degrees. So this will be, not 45, 48 degrees. My bad. 48 degrees. And so this would be where the ship is compared to Lighthouse B. And the ship is north of Lighthouse A, but it's 32 degrees west. So if you make this 32 degrees, if you draw it out, this would show the 32 degrees west, and it'll show it going north. So this is what it should look like based on the bearings, right? Because this is south of it, but it creates an angle of 48 degrees west. Okay? And this is north of it, but it creates an angle of 32 degrees west. Okay, this is how it should look. Now, we're trying to find out the length of this side over here and this side over here. So, let's put in these angles. Let's make these angles make sense. So since a bearing would create an angle of 90 degrees, right? So 48 minus 90 would get us 32 degrees for angle B, right? And wait, not 32 degrees. 42, my bad. 42 degrees. And then, since this would be a 90-degree angle, this would create an angle measure of 58 degrees, right? We know that. Now, since we know these two together, these two are the angles of this triangle, right? We can find out this missing angle, right? And this would be 100 degrees. So this means that this missing angle is 80 degrees, right? And so this would tell us that this is probably law of sines. And law of sines says that side angle A over side A equals angle B over side B, which equals angle C over side C, right? This makes it simpler for us to figure out what are the missing angles. What are the missing side lengths or angles? So now we're looking for BC and AC, okay? And so if we use angle A, we'll get sine 58 over the missing angle of BC, missing side length of BC, which is also called side A, equals sine 80 over 150, right? And if we do look for side B, angle B's missing side, which is AC, you'll get sine 42 over side B equals sine 80 over 180, over 150. Right. And so now let's do this one first. And so we would cross multiply this. I will end up with a formula like this, with an equation like this. Sine 58 equals 150 times sine 58 equals A times sine 80. And since we're trying to find out what A is, we'll isolate it and divide it by sine 80. And that means we'll do it on both sides. So that means that this equation will be divided by sine 80. So now if you put this in a calculator and do 150 times sine 58 divided by sine 80, you'll get a side length of A would equal 129.17 miles. So side A, or side BC, would be 129 miles, 0.17. Okay. So now let's do this for side B. Side B. So if you cross multiply these, you'll get 150 times sine 42 equals B sine 80. But since we're trying to find B, we'll divide it by sine 80. And we'll do this on both sides, because you can't just divide on one side and not do it on another. And if you were to put this in a calculator, 150 times sine 42 divided by sine 80, you would get 101.91 equals side B or side AC. So side AC is 101.91 miles.